That's awesome.
I tried to not hit it. I just want to go slow. So we got the Redcat Vigilante back again. Sold my very first one. I got it when it first came out. I sold it, had a lot of problems, gears, there was no upgrades for it yet, and I just kind of lost hope with the whole thing, so I sold it. Kind of maybe a little rash. I did like the truck. Every time I drove it, put a smile on my face for sure. So rebought it just a couple months ago. This Redcat kind of stopped putting the other ones out and then re-released this one. So now they have their CNC gears, ring and pinions front and back, and all these center ones, spur, everything is also CNC gears, not from Redcat. They sell it as a kit too for like $80 to $100 depending on where you find it, but this car came with it. So this one was like $900 and stuff. That's a little more money. One thing I did notice too from the original one is now all the hardware, every single screw on here is 12.9 grade, which doesn't mean the screw won't break or bend, but they do tend to strip out less. That's one thing I noticed about the 12.9. And they're usually a little stronger overall, obviously, but they do strip out less, so it's nice. They did change that on the entire car. They're all 12.9, everything I've seen so far. They also made these blue. They used to be silver. But everything else pretty much looks the same. Obviously the gears, I did kind of peek inside. Also the center diff now is an aluminum case, so that will help with that. Because on my previous car, and if you watch any of my other videos, this screw right back here, one in the back here for the gear cover, stripped out. Once that strips out, you can do a mod with a nut underneath, but then you can't basically take this off anymore. This is your whole gear cover, and you need that because it holds the idler gear down and everything down, so when you're under load. Once it strips out, you got a big problem. You got to replace your whole chassis. Chassis aren't expensive, but it's a huge pain in the ass. After that happened to me, that was my last straw. I changed the diff oil on my old one, so I could actually do some wheelies and stuff. It instantly started skipping in the back. The ring and pinion, so you couldn't do anything. Like, you had to keep everything thin. It just wasn't set up good. So but they changed that with other gears, and I hear good things about them now, but I'm still going to go one step farther with everything, and I got everything I can get basically from Vitavon that they make for this car at this time. So I got the caster blocks here, which I never had a problem with before, but I figured what the hell. I got all the Vitavon steering. I decided to get blue. It's beautifully machined. I didn't have any problem with the original, but I'm just going to do this anyways, just so it's, you know, I don't like to have problems later, so I'm just going to do the build, everything while I'm taking it all apart. I got the only bulkhead they make so far is the rear. They're identical, except for on the front, this is a little different. But, so this is only for the rear, but the rear is where the main problems were anyways. I know they have the CNC gears now, but I'm just going to do this anyways. Aluminum bulkheads always keep the gears together better. So, and this is like beautifully machined, all 12.9 hardware came with it. All the screws are in place already, so you don't have to guess which ones you're supposed to use. Very nice. Not too bad of a price. And then I did the Vitavon motor mount. I was going to get the M2C one, but Vitavon makes this, so you can have a gear cover on here still. And then also the reason I got this one and I wanted this one is because this piece, this top, will come off, right? So you could take these two screws out to check your mesh and set everything up when you're messing with gearing on your motor, and you don't have to take these guys out, because these ones are the ones that strip out in the chassis, and you don't want to have to keep taking those in and out, in and out, in and out anytime you mess with gearing. And that's what happened to me. I'd change this pinion gear, I'd mess with gearing, and then it only did like 3 or 4 times, and then this guy stripped out because it's just in thin plastic. There's not much room, so you have to watch my other video. I can explain it better. But so this can stay on. Once you put it on, you don't have to take it off again, which is great. And if you want to check your mesh and change gearing, it's these two guys here only. So won't be worrying about the chassis getting wrecked. This is super nice. It's all 775. And then also, this is a front skid plate, which I did break twice on my original one. I'd break it like right here, and then I fixed it a couple times so I could use the car. But this is, on this car, it's kind of important because it holds, the bulkhead is open then at the bottom if you don't have this. So hopefully that will keep everything tied in better. I don't know. I usually don't do aluminum skid plates or anything like that, but I figured It was like 80 bucks, so I'll just try it out. And it comes in a few different colors, and man, do they do a good job. We'll see how it all goes together though. So I got that for Vitavon, motor mount, gear cover, bulkhead, steering, casters. And then from, instead of doing the Vitavon ones, I just did Redcat, because now they make an aluminum one for the center, but they're the same front and back as far as I know. So I just bought 2 more. They're only like $16 from Redcat, and they're actually really nice. They're really thick. So now I'll have aluminum diff cases, front and back and center then after I'm all done here. So I'm just gonna do everything I can to protect the gears. Also, I hate chrome rims, absolutely hate chrome rims. So it sucks because the tread pattern is kind of nice and the tires themselves feel really good. But I'm gonna run the Outcast ones. These aren't any heavier. They might actually be slightly lighter than these, and they're a little taller. The only thing you need to run these, because it will rub right here, you need like plus 10 or plus 12. I already have some. Anything for an Outcast hub extender wise, or an 8S, will fit on this shaft. Because this is also a smaller hex than 24 millimeter. It's like slightly smaller. It's weird size, and a weird thread on here too. It's like their own thing. But you can run the Outcast, and then once you change that hub, which I have right here, I kept them just because they work on Armas. Basically, that's what they're for. The inside shaft here is the same. Now it's the 8 millimeter, or I think it might be bigger than that. I don't remember. But it's just Bash RC. These are like plus 12 or plus 15. I don't even know. They're actually true 24 millimeter. So any Arma wheel or anything like that, that's 24 millimeter. You can fit on there. And then I bought, just these separately because these are Arma threads. These threads are slightly different. But then you can run any tires you want, because Arma tires don't have a natural offset. These have a natural like 1/2 inch offset, or maybe even more. You can see it the way it is, and this is deeper. So yeah, it's kind of the same situation that like Trexas cars has. So anyways, but yeah, so I'm gonna do a build. I'm not gonna do a full step-by-step build thing on this stuff, but I will do kind of steps in between and just kind of show how everything's going together. And then I will do some running of the car, obviously. All right. So I got the diff change, the case on here now. I ran into a little bit of a problem on this Vitavon diff. On the stock diff or bulkhead, you don't need any shim side to side. The thing sits in there nice. But on the Vitavon bulkhead, they got 2 shims from the factory behind this guy already, so I put those back in there. And then when you set this in there, it had side to side play, and it needed to come this way. So what I did, I can't find any shims anywhere. You need technically to slide over this outdrive, and to be the same diameter as that bearing, you need an 18 inside, 24 outside. There's none online anywhere. And I have this stainless steel shim kit that I've had for quite a while. It's got all different ones in here, and everything is 18 by 25. Everything online too is 18 by 25. You need 18 by 24 technically, so you don't have to take the outdrive off. Unfortunately, couldn't find any. Amazon, nowhere, unless you have them made by some company. So unless someone knows where they are, they can put it in the comments below. But anyways, I got 12 by 18 right here. So if you take this outdrive off, which sucks because you got to take the whole diff back off, but just this side, the inside of this ring gear here, on the inside here, you can kind of see them in there. It's hard to see, but that is 12 millimeters. So I had these because you need it to fit either the outside of the bearing or the inside of the bearing, so it's not pushing on the middle part. So I got a 12, fits the inside of the bearing. I put 4 of them in there, so they're pushing the bearing this way, which then puts the gear that way. That's all I think you could fit. Once you set it in here, it has no more side to side play at all, and it seems like the mesh is pretty good. Because what's nice about these is, at least like on X-Max you can't see, but on this you can see they're lined up. The focus here, they're lined up perfectly, and there's a tiny bit of backlash, tiny. So it's pretty much I think as tight as you can get. I don't have room for any more shims here, because when you put the cover like this, literally can't move back and forth anymore. It's like solid in there. So that's about all you can do. So I got 4 0.1 shims on the inside for this Vitavon, for my bulkhead. Maybe it'll be different on somebody else's, but on the I had to put them on the inside here. All right, so I pretty much got the whole back of the car back together. I just got to throw the bumper on and the little supports, but I left it off so you can kind of see it. The Vitavon bulkhead went in there very nice. Everything's all set up nice. And I just got to put my tethers on for my shocks, and then I got the motor mount in while I'm doing all this stuff. And then, like I said, this piece you can mount ahead of time, Loctite these screws in. And now you just take this cover off. That's why I got the Vitavon one. So when you do your mesh, you just pull this guy off, do your mesh, check it all, put this cover back on, and you don't have to mess with these guys down here, because that's a disaster if you take these out a bunch. I got my casters on now. Almost forgot to put those on, doing everything. I got them on both left and right now. They went on there pretty good. It definitely throws it off a little bit, so this angle here must be slightly different. So I'll just have to adjust these, but I'll wait because you can see it's kicked out this way. But yeah, it all went together well. You don't use your top pin anymore. You just use an M4 bolt through here. Everything else you reuse. Instead of making a piece in here, I was going to use this PVC board because it's basically plastic. I already got it marked out the size. I was going to drill holes and stuff. And I was looking down in here. It's hard to see, but down in there, I got a little aluminum spacer, and I put 4 of them. They're only like 1/4 inch, and they're like 8 millimeters in diameter, and the hole in the center is a little bit bigger. It's like a 5 millimeter hole. I wish it was 4 millimeter, but it's 5. And then they're about 1/4 inch long, and I put them under there, so that raised this whole center just a little bit. So now with this Basher battery, which the Basher battery fit before with stock. Get this strap out of the way. It fit before with stock, but it was just hard to get in here. But now, because of that, but now it's got a little bit of space here now in between it. So basically you gain that much, so you can get your battery out a little easier. And then also, if you wanted to put your battery on its side, and these are the 6800s, you still got room to get it in there. So it's not that bad now. That little bit of height, and because if you raise this too high, it pushes these this way, and it actually makes the chassis push out. So you don't want to raise this too high, but just a little bit. It's something you guys can do yourselves. These little spacers, I just got them at Home Depot. I'll put the part number on here, and then I have I think these are M4 by 25. I got these are grade 12-9, and I just put these in the bottom. They're 25 millimeter long, and they're M4s. And I just put, and that's the right length to still screw into this with those spacers and get enough thread in there and everything. So I got it all mounted up in there. It seems pretty solid too. So, and then in the bottom, let me put this up here. And in the bottom, you can kind of see the chassis is countersunk enough where it's not a problem, so those cap heads can fit in there. I'll put the part number on right now. Here, I just got them at Home Depot. So that's just a little aluminum spacer, basically. Those are the measurements. And it works great. So it fits in there. My batteries can go in without hassle now. All right. So during this build, I was basically almost done. Vitavon released the front bulkhead. So now we have the front bulkhead. The only thing that's really different is kind of this right here. How that locks in, but it's really similar otherwise. So I waited to get that. Now I've got this together. I have 3 shims on the inside of the bearing on this guy, and the mesh feels real good, not too tight. A little tiny bit of backlash. Everything looks pretty good. Now I'm just kind of putting everything together. Vitavon gives you all the screws. They put them in spots, so I'm just gonna take them out, clean them, Loctite them, put it all together, start reassembling the truck. All right, guys, I got the front bulkhead in. It's all tied in. Everything's Loctited. Like I said, I wiped or clean all the screws, you know, with this rag. You can see the black on here. Those are the screws that come with Vitavon, and the Redcat are now 12.9. So some of the screws I've Vitavon put in bulkhead, like they come with it, like the ones down here are too. These are okay, but the ones on the other side to hide the tie bar in, sorry, they're actually too long. So just double check your depths. But yeah, no, I got everything in here now. I did decide to upgrade the motor. I had this motor laying around from another car. I just had to extend the wires a little bit. So I put 8 millimeter, like basically plugs in here down to the 6.5. This is a Max 6 G2 now, so a little more powerful, and it's Bluetooth, you know, it's a little easier to adjust. I had to kind of cut that out so I can put the on and off switch in there still. It's a different shape. Got the QS8s on here, and then this is the 1250 kV 5690. I got a 23 tooth pinion in here. I actually used the one from the Arma Outcast, went right on here. It's the same width as the spur gear that's here, so it all fit in there nice. And basically, it's with this Vitavon mount 23. If you do 23, the motor goes all the way down. Then this is like a 3/4 inch workout mat, rubber, like you'd put like a horse mat, or you put for like a workout area. I cut a corner off one of mine, and then I basically used a grinder and I made it concave so it fit the shape of this motor. And right now, because of the way this chassis is, it's got that honeycomb part in the middle. I just put some hot glue under it, and then I squished it down and set my motor on top of it. And it's only supporting like the back part of the motor here. You can kind of see the hot glue on that side. I'm gonna see if that stays. There's other motor supports out there, just to keep some of the pressure off the plastic here. I'm not worried about the mount bending, but this plastic down here, you know, like the pressure of it if you jump and stuff, because I do kind of plan to jump this high if I can. But yeah, so it's got a little bit. It's pretty hard rubber. It doesn't squish a lot, but it's perfect because then the motor's cradled in there for when you have those hard landings. And the way that, like I said, the way this chassis is designed, it's got like that center ridge, so it's kind of hard to get anything in there. But that seems to, if it stays, hopefully it will. I'm running the stock servo still for Redcat. It is metal gear and all that set up, and it's got plenty of torque. That's not the problem. It's just kind of slow. Tried to get the specs for different voltages and the speeds from Redcat. They did not know. They responded with, they only know it's a 70 kg servo, which is crazy that you don't know the speed of the servo that you're selling, but okay. So, and I couldn't find it online anywhere. So I turned this to 8.4 anyways. I don't know if it can even handle it, but it seems a little faster. It doesn't seem terrible. We'll see how that is. I do like a fast servo. It makes the car feel a lot more nimble. So we'll see. And then this is the Arma receiver box from an Outcast 8S. And basically you can see I cut it right here. It's originally like this piece, the servo mount. I cut it right along here, and then I took this, because it's got two mounting holes here, and I lined it up, and it worked perfect because the angle of this, where it raises up right here, goes right onto over the ridge of the chassis here, so it doesn't get in the way, and it like fits right in there. And then I cut this top off, you know, from this piece, which would be for your Arma. I cut the top off right here and then mounted it right on there. So, and then I got it screwed in from the bottom, and it looks basically factory. So you got these two M4 button heads on here, and it's screwed in. I had to put little spacers just to raise the case up a little bit on the other side, but it's screwed right in there. And these will not hit the ground really, because this is way higher, or lower, I mean, than this. So it's really not an issue if the button heads are sticking out here, but it looks basically factory for the most part. And now it's got a servo or receiver box that's actually big enough to fit a standard, you know, because I'm using Fly Sky and some of the receivers are a little bigger, and you just have more space to work with and get all your wires in there now, instead of this little tiny, because Redcat gives you this little tiny guy, and it's fine for theirs if you have a tiny little receiver, but this one's got a lot more space for your wires and getting everything in there.
That was a broken one, wasn't it? Yeah, I think I broke that one before. But I found right through there. Redcat doesn't give a shit about no horse fence. You see that? Right through it. Woo, that was smooth. Oh my god.
Thumb came off.
I think that was just the dirt. Maybe your battery. Oh. Yeah. But Redcat's got a stock spur, obviously, because they don't make anything else, but it's got a 24 tooth pinion. still mod 1. XRT's got who knows what. It's mod 1.5. She's flying. It never happened. The doubler. Nice. That's not wheeling off of it, that's why. It was wheeling the whole way. Oh, we're in the top again. Yeah, she's beautiful. You see the body flapping? Oh, I was gonna get it.
Yeah, I see it catching your
it catches the body, yeah. Just...
Are we both going off this thing? Get out of it.
All right, just a quick update after all that driving you just seen in the video. If you're still watching, the only thing I broke the whole time with any crashes I have done on this truck is just this upper arm here, and it didn't break all the way through. It just broke right here, and it was on a bad one, well deserved. I knew I broke something. I couldn't believe it was just that. Before on the original Redcat, when I first got it, when it first came out, these arms would break constantly, especially the front ones. I broke quite a few. They're not super expensive, but it gets old changing them after a while. Never really had any problems with the shocks. I did rip a shock cap off once, but that wasn't a big deal. I just put a new one on. But the shock shaft's always been pretty good. And I did break one of these once on the original one, and then I broke like the hinge pin holder here in the front multiple times, and then also the one in the back. But since I got this Vitavon skid in the front, it's been like a wedge here. It protects everything, so it keeps the bumper all held together and everything here, which then protects this, so I don't have any issues. It's definitely worth it. Gears are all holding up great. You got a 24 tooth pinion in there right now, and I got a couple of rubber pieces I put in here just for shims, depending on what gear you're using. But I got a 24 tooth now, so I had to raise it just a hair, but I got that red rubber in there, so it helps it, you know, when you slap hard, because I do jump pretty high. I'm not crazy, but I do jump pretty high. Servo's holding up great. This is the stock servo. I never ran it before with the original one. I took it out right away. With this guy, I switched it up to 8.4 volts. I got about 4 runs, maybe 5 packs now through it like that, and it's been holding up. So even though it doesn't say it can do 8.4, apparently it can. The Max 6 is holding up great, no problems at all, no heat issues. And with this fan, it is the 50mm fan. This is the Redcat heatsink on here for the stock motor. I just smushed it onto this 5690, stretched it, and then I put a hose clamp around it. It actually, that's nice about this motor mount, it actually has a slot to fit the hose clamp through, so you can just clamp it on pretty much any motor. And then you can still put the 50mm fan on here. I did have to bend these tops a little bit because it screws in there to get it flat. But this is a rocket fan on here too, so it is moving good air. But the motor's temperature's been great. That's not overheating or anything, even with a little bit of added weight I put on this truck. And then I got the copper heads on here, and they've been working great. I got good rotation so far. You know, I'm not doing doubles because this truck's got a long wheelbase, but getting singles no problem off my jumps. And then I got the Armo wheel nuts in here now because the serrated edge on it's a lot better than the ones I was using. They were coming loose. And I also have the Just Bash hub extenders on. Not that you can see them in there, but you've seen it earlier in the video. They've been working great. They go right on this truck. They're for Outcast 8S or a Creighton 8S. They go right on this truck. They fit perfectly, no shims at all. Pin goes right in. So that's nice. And then obviously any Armo wheel nuts will work too then. But yeah, truck's been running good. So anyways, take care.